One thing I can say, and it's quite disappointing, is that one of the we've been touching it, but that from going back to just music, but just thinking about it in a political context, punk changed a lot of things, and one of the things that changed it was it did open doors, so it wasn't all white males, we tried really hard to get somebody from the reggae scene at the time here tonight. We talked to some sound systems and some bands, and it was really sad. Because there was that, it's hard for me to talk because I'm a white male, so I shouldn't really be there. But women were coming through in ways that before punk it just wasn't happening, and relationships between black musicians and white musicians were building in ways that just didn't happen before. We went on tour with Badesian on a Rock Against Racism tour, and we were hoping that one was going to be here tonight. And that was very exciting, but it was in a febrile, is that the right word? Atmosphere.
But you know, it's very strange. I just looked to the crowd. I don't think there's any black faces in the crowd here. There were more black faces at an F Club gig. Yeah. You know, there's dance chapter, Cyrus. You know, there were black kids in the bands. It was quite. You know, we got a name. You know, there was one section. Extreme left. They had a magazine. I think it was called Leveller. And they said, oh, the F stands for fascist. Yeah. You know, and it was basically fuck the Poly, because the Poly wouldn't let us put the gigs on. And that's where the F came from. But I was promoting at a West Indian club with Carl Young from Nevis, who was a mate of mine. He sort of owned the place, asked me to do it. I was putting gigs on. And as well as like the Joy Division magazine post-punk bands, I was putting reggae bands on as well.
No one's denying that. I think
but there was never any big trouble. There were little episodes, but never any troubles like the gentleman mentioned, that I'm aware of anyway.
It at least felt tense to me with NF. I have to say, it did feel tense.
I changed the name of it from the F Club to the Fan Club.
No, not the Fan Club didn't feel tense. I'm saying Leeds as a city felt tense and
that's
felt
why
divided.
I said, like the Ripple thing, there was this kind of pervading atmosphere, which was the Ripple was part of it, the NFSWP conflicts were part of it. There was a tension around Leeds at that time, and it was dark and doomy. None of the buildings had been cleaned, and it was crumbling. So it was, a different world than it is now. Leeds, somebody coming to Leeds from 30 years ago wouldn't recognise the place now.
Well, I mean, I ended up having to change my bus routes from Seacliff into town because of the National Front, which were the same as the British National Party. Although I think they were more violent because the British National Party wanted to wear its suits by a few years ago. So it was really different. Because there were street fighters then. There was a couple of families in Leeds that had been interned for fascist sympathies in the 1930s. So there was the Spinks, So there was this long sort of dynastic history in a sense, like you mentioned, with families. But at our club, at the Rock Against Racism Club, what I remember what we did there, we deliberately set out, because we were using this politic to try and bring black and white people together. This was before Badesian, and we couldn't find any reggae bands in Leeds, because we deliberately, Rock Against Racism was put on punk bands and reggae bands, but we couldn't find any reggae bands in Leeds, so we used a sound system, Maverick sound system. And you remember those bloody big boxes, I mean, they'd walk across the room, Mavericks?
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. But they should come a bit later than that.
So I think in those days, in many different ways, it felt hard. I mean, the threat of violence in different directions, directed towards women through the Ripper and racism and the NF, it felt
and there was some
hard place and slightly frightening place.
And the police weren't particularly
friendly. No way. No,
police were always
arseholes.
Yeah. If the police turned up, you knew it was just more trouble. Is that like that now, in the scene you're in?
Not really.
You don't feel
no,
threatened?
I mean, something that kind of Chunk, as a lot of spaces kind of struggle with, is trying to be all-inclusive. Not that we don't make efforts, we really do, but there's this there's a safer spaces policy thing that's kind of becoming with Wharf Chambers and other places that I tend to frequent. It's kind of, we're trying to invite everyone in, but how do you make that so blatant without people already involved in it, to kind of like, I see myself in that person who's involved in this, so I feel encouraged to step in. Because it can be, I appreciate it can be intimidating, just kind of a space where all its members, not all of our members are like.
Interlude.
But there aren't, like you were saying about the, not finding the reggae bands. It's I'm trying to reach out to people and be like, do you want to put a gig on here? Without being condescending, that kind of like.
Well, we weren't condescending, we went deliberately looking for them, they just weren't there at that time, which is why Maverick got involved. So we weren't condescending, we were trying to hammer someone down. Quite the opposite, Yeah. I'd be as condescending as shit if I wanted to get someone. I wouldn't go and do it.
Right. No, so there are definite parallels. There aren't the tensions that you described, obviously. There's no Ripper character. Or,
Could happen again.
Pardon?
It could happen again.
Could happen. Oh, yeah, well, that's right.
But I also think that the music scene was fueled by the door in a way that it can't be now.
Yeah.
We, the Mekons must have drawn door. We worked Andrew Door separately, and it paid for you to have a creative life.
Yeah.
You used to organise tours around sign-on day.
Yeah, exactly. Back for sign-on day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much about doing the day job and then, because I'm in 3 bands and then do a solo thing, it's doing the day job and then practicing pretty much every night.
I think the main thing about the punk scene is that it was a major movement, and it wasn't just music, it was an art movement as well. It was a culture movement, fashion movement, it was a whole lot, and everything seemed to change, and that's why I got in on it then, because I was getting pretty bored with all the prog stuff. The turning point for me was Topographical Oceans by Yes. It was like, I paid for it, it was a 3 thing, open it out, and I played the first side, and I've still got an unplayed copy if anybody wants to give me some money for it, I've still got it. But yeah, I just thought, this is too overblown, it's almost constipating. And punk was just coming in, and it was like, and I was also at the time I was into bands like the Eagles in the early days, not the later, but I was also into Iggy Pop and all that. And when punk came along, to me the Sex Pistols reminded me of Alice Cooper, a little bit, but with an English attitude. But so the music wasn't. I didn't think the music was fantastic, but the energy and the attitude behind it. And the art that followed and the fashion that followed, that kind of made it. And I don't think we've had another movement as big as punk in Britain anyway. It's like, there's been hip-hop, which is American, but no other British.
All the creativity with it. I remember being in the...
But if you're looking at Leeds and punk, it's different from London, where it